Welcome back to the show. Let's check in on Dak's deal. I still don't know. It's not done, but according to Dak, we are getting closer. Let's take a listen.
When I'm here, when I'm in the camp hours, I'm as focused can be on whatever it needs, whether it's the team, the locker room, maybe it's something the coaches need, or it's just me out there on the field trying to become the player that I want to be. Good conversations are going, I will say that. Call it negotiations, whatever conversations. A lot of good things are going on there. So a lot of confidence. Once again, as I said, anytime I feel like I've talked about it, I've got confidence in my guys, these guys getting something done.
Okay, that seems super optimistic.
Yeah, but again, you and I are, listen, one of us will be right, one of us will be wrong, so I don't want to, I don't know. We'll see. We will get resolution on this. You keep reading optimism that it's going to get done. I think, more precisely, that sounded rude. Differently listening to the words and different things jump out to me. That sounded rude. I apologize.
Correctly, observing.
He raised the possibility in this interview. He said, if it gets done in the next few weeks, during the season, or whatever. I don't know about you, Greg. I would think the smart thing for Dak Prescott would be, even if publicly he's not saying this, letting the Cowboys know, you got 22 days, and then negotiations over until the end of the year. What we're not going to do is week 1 against the Browns, I'm awesome, and my guys come back and say, what's the number now? And then week 2, I struggle, and you guys say, we're not doing that. And so I thought it was odd that he even raised the possibility that this could be going on during the season. I don't view that as tenable. I don't think I know some players get re-signed during the season, not very often after a whole contentious offseason of negotiations, and almost never at this position. Like the quarterbacks get done in the offseason. Joe Burrow, we were talking about last year, was it going to get done? And then right before the year, even though he had gotten hurt, it did. So I view it, Greg, as they have 22 days to get it done, and they are not willing to do what they need to get it done, or they would have already gotten it done. Like, that's where I stand on this.
This gives me hope.
Same with the Wilds.
It's because it's Dak Prescott saying it. In his posture previous to this, the last time we heard him talk about it, it was like, other elite quarterbacks have gone through this. I mean, they haven't been able to sustain their entire career with one team, and all these different things that he was saying. It seemed as though he was preparing himself to be out.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a player who is obviously privy to the information, saying and his body language, his posture is like, yeah, good conversations are happening, like almost like a breath of fresh air, like finally, like something positive is actually happening and could potentially result in me getting a big deal. What I do believe, though, is I believe Dak Prescott really wants to be a Cowboy more than the Cowboys want Dak Prescott to be a Cowboy.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, like, I don't think he wants to go anywhere else.
So does that bring the number down?
We will see.
Because his other quotes are about his responsibility to the brotherhood and quarterbacks.
Yeah, because to your point, like, if he said, this is my line, this is my cutoff date before the season starts, after the season, I don't think there's anyone across the National Football League in the locker rooms, in management, and/or in the media that thinks Dak Prescott is going to have a terrible year.
Right.
And so if he were to have a year that consistently is with what he's always done, he will get paid.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I want to make it clear. I think the Cowboys have done a lot of business poorly, and getting themselves in this position with Dak is doing business poorly, but not relenting to what I think are almost assuredly Dak Prescott's agent's demands right now. I don't think that's doing business poorly. To get Dak Prescott to sign, it would be along these lines. $60 million a year. The new record for most guaranteed at signing, that's $160 million. An $80 million signing bonus, and around Deshaun Watson level of guaranteed money, so $230 million. Does anyone think that would be a good idea for Dallas? I shouldn't say does anyone. Do you? I don't. I think that deal, the thing is, that deal will be out there for him for some team, if not a deal bigger than that, a year from now. So I don't begrudge the Cowboys for not wanting to give him that. I begrudge them for putting themselves in a position to where that's what they would have to give him because they can't franchise him, because they can't trade him, because they've waited this long. That's where I think they screwed up.
And I'll answer your question really quick. The only way I think that would be a great idea is if the Cowboys truly believe he is the guy that can get it done for them. And that is where, again, I don't believe.
I don't think they believe that. I think
Chiefs Ravens on Thursday. Yeah. Dak signs on Tuesday.
Okay. All right. I mean, you've been calling this. We'll see.
The top team in the NFC East, Ralph Acciano of FoxSports.com, drawing up an all-22 division roster that is full of Cowboys and Eagles. On offense, Dak got the nod over Jalen, but the Eagles have 6 players compared to the Cowboys' 4. On defense, the Cowboys are dominating. They've got 5 players compared to the Eagles' 2. So, Nick, overall, better roster belongs to who?
Well, so I think this is a great indication of why I do think all the Chicken Little stuff with Dallas and their disastrous offseason has been overstated. I do think they've done a very, very bad job of putting themselves in a better position than they ended last year. I think, if anything, they've gone a little bit backwards from last year because of the losses on the offensive line. But this roster still has a ton of talent, and it's still clearly the best defense in this division and a coin flip for the best offense in this division. That really comes down to, in my opinion, the big gap between Dak and Jalen, how big you think it is and whether you think it's big or not. And I'm sure there's a lot of Eagles fans saying it is big and our guy has the edge on it. I don't look at it that way. That's fine. So I still think I think both these can be true. The Cowboys didn't go all in. They screwed up in talking about the running back in the draft. They have screwed up in these negotiations. And in my mind, they're the favorite to win the division. Doesn't mean I think it's going to go any differently than the last few Cowboys years. If you win double-digit games and then fall on your face in the playoffs. But so I know I'm not really answering the question. To me, it's a coin flip, and it comes down to the quarterback position. I like Dak more, so I'll say the Cowboys because the defense is so much better than the Eagles. But I think most football people, Greg, believe the Eagles roster's up here and the Cowboys is here, and I don't view it that way.
Yeah, I don't view it that way. I do think the Eagles roster is better. And the reason why I think the Eagles roster is better is because when I look at both sides of the ball, and this was kind of a hard question, to be honest, because when you look at the Eagles offense, I definitely think that they're better than the Cowboys offense.
I do too.
Across the board. I really do. Where the gap is it closes drastically is when we look at both of these defenses. Because the Cowboys, the Eagles are nowhere near what the Cowboys are defensively.
Eagles were one of the worst defenses.
They were exactly. And however, I do believe, and this is how I had to look at it, if they are to go head to head.
You trust Jalen more?
No, it's not that I would trust Jalen more. I trust Jalen and the weapons that he has around him to support him more than what I feel like the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles will be as bad as they were defensively last year. However, their offense against the Cowboys' strength and their defense,